Welcome back to the Ref Show. It's the Dean Show. Brian Deane and Dean Mohareb on the programme this week. We've still got the playoffs to look at in the Championship and in Leagues 1 and 2. Some games over the weekend. The ties will conclude this week, and we'll be looking as well at the remainder of the Premier League programme, which did throw up, and many games threw up, big incident, not least the penalty disallowed in the Manchester City-Leicester game. It could have been a crucial one as well. With the naked eye, one view, it looked like Riyad Mahrez had scored when he netted for Leicester City. Brian, your take on that, and when you saw it disallowed by Bobby Madley, were you puzzled over it to start with?
No, not at all. I think it was brilliantly picked up on. But if you you look at the cameras, even when Pep Guardiola, he knew straight away that it had been a double touch.
Yeah, the keeper did.
Yeah, everybody knew. So it was brilliant. I thought the way how everybody picked up on it straight away and how it played out was excellent.
Real time though, time, hard to spot.
It wasn't hard to spot for the guys there because, like I said, Guardiola was like two touch straight away. There was, everybody, the referee was assuring himself as well. So, it's one of those interesting ones because
you couldn't do it if you tried, could you? As a player, could you do that?
No,
if you
tried? Couldn't. But it's the one like I've seen it where it's come off the post and he's tempted to go back for the rebound and then you have to stop yourself because it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's a reflex to go for that rebound. Yeah. Bobby Madley came out with a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, and we've had some confusion in recent weeks around penalties and restarts and how the game should be restarted. But he not only picked up the offence of a double touch, he also correctly gave an indirect free kick. So because it's an offence, the players played the ball twice. So a really good spot, as Brian says. And again, what was pleasing here is he just did it. There was no fuss about it, no drama about it. He spotted it, give it, and straight away communicated 2 touches, bang, indirect free kick. So really good piece of
He's looking from the side as well. I mean, if you're looking from behind, you can clearly see the slip and the 2 touches, but he's looking right.
Maybe the assistant referee may well have had some input into it. I'm not sure.
No,
but
it was immediate.
Regardless, as a team, they got the decision right. So.
Okay, well, let's just talk about the incident in Mike Deane's game, which was pretty uneventful otherwise. Well, not so if you're an Arsenal supporter. A cracking win at Stoke, where they often struggle. 4-1. A great finish to the season for Arsene Wenger. Just briefly, before we go on to the Peter Crouch handball goal, when his back's up against the wall, Arsene Wenger seems to respond every time.
Yeah, he's taken a hell of a lot of stick this season, but he's finishing the season strong. I'm not sure if it'll be enough to pacify the Arsenal fans. I've always been a Wenger fan myself, but I just wonder now whether because of his stance, he's made things difficult for himself with a lot of fans. The only question I would say is that be careful what you wish for, because they might want him out, but you look around and you think, well, what top coaches are coming through that are going to be good enough to take on such a big role?
And also, look what happened to Manchester United, what's happened to Manchester United since the institutional Sir Alex Ferguson left.
Well, there's 2 ways of looking at that. You could go so far down the line where Manchester United did, where they're struggling now to pick up the pieces after him, or you can say, well, okay, we'll take the hit now and bring in somebody who's going to have maybe 5-6 years to put in place the philosophy and the culture that we want at the club now.
Be interesting to see what happens. As for the Peter Crouch scoring blatantly with a handball, fortunately that wasn't crucial. Did you ever score either deliberately or accidentally with your hands, Brian, in your career? Do you remember?
No, I wish I had done. No, it sounds bad, but I mean, you look at the finish from Crouch, and it's naughty, isn't it?
It's quite deliberate.
It's quite very deliberate, and even I'm looking at him as he's running away, and I think in my day, a lot of players would have been embarrassed.
Yeah, should have been a caution for unsportsmanship.
Should have been. It was, but
unsporting behaviour. Yeah.
Just going back to the Man City game as well, Alan. There was a big incident in that with Sterling.
The offside.
The offside,
was he interfering? Was he not interfering?
So I've had a lot of questions on Twitter about this, so hence the reason I bring it up. But Sterling's in an offside position, even though it's marginal, he is offside. And what the referee has to look at is, has he made a movement that has either prevented a player from getting the ball, or distracted, if you like, had an impact on a player
It's like
for the
dummy,
ball.
innit?
Yeah, and for me, I do not understand why that was not given offside. He's in an offside position. He swings his leg for the ball. I can't understand.
If that's not distracting, what is?
There's 3 defenders who stopped and the goalkeeper stopped. So for me, I don't understand why that wasn't given. There was a conversation between the referee and the assistant on the mics.
Yeah.
But again, we go back to basics. The flag should have gone up.
Yeah.
There should have been a dialogue. And the main thing is you come out with the right decision. And I think at times assistant referees are overcomplicating offside. And this is one of those examples.
Right, good pick up that. There was certainly quite a lot of incident in the Premier League's penultimate weekend. We've got one more to go. We've got the FA Cup final as well, where Chelsea play Arsenal, and Arsene Wenger. At the moment, you think they've got every chance there, the way Arsenal play. We'll see. Some incidentals, well, at least I think they are, in terms of referee involvement. Anthony Taylor's game, Middlesbrough 1, Southampton 2, and Lee Probert's game, Bournemouth 2, Burnley 1. Are we moving on?
Good to see Lee Probert back. Really good to see Lee back after a season of injuries. So he's a good guy.
Excellent. So we go to the playoffs. Fulham Reading was the first game of the 2 in the Championship. The first leg, a 1-1 draw, a very tight game, not a particularly good game, and one big call for Stuart Atwell. Although, was it such a big call? Because was it an obvious one? Paul McShane sent off for his lunge on Kevin McDonald.
Yeah, good spot.
Okay, no arguments. No arguments whatsoever in that one. And then the Huddersfield-Sheffield Wednesday one. Now, this was always going to be an appointment which was going to be a highly charged one for a referee with a Yorkshire derby, the first one at the John Smith Stadium. A 0-0 draw, poor game, but nonetheless very, very competitive. How do you think Paul Tierney did?
Right man for the job. He's had a really good season, Paul. He's one of these referees who they've got to start giving the big games to, because he's young enough. He's had a season now. He's bedded in really well, and I thought he had a really good game. In like what you say, was not only a Yorkshire derby but a playoff semi-final, so they're never easy games. And I thought he came out of it really well.
So would you start putting him into the Premier League?
Yeah, so Paul's had a season in the Premier League, but I think there's referees like Chris Kavanagh, Andy Madley, David Coote. They have got to start giving them Premier League games. And actually next weekend, there's a lot of dead rubber games, if you like. And I think that's an ideal opportunity to give him a game before the start of next season.
Seemed like Paul Tierney had good rapport with the players and quite a lot of respect from them as well. Good command.
He's a really, really good referee, Paul. I like his style. He's just fit, gets in the right position, manages players well. He's really good referee.
So
I'll give you a little insight. When you're in the changing rooms and you look at the referee, and it's somebody who you can talk to. I mean, we used to have Roger Dilts, used to be really good. I'm going back some time.
Yeah,
for example.
of You Are the Ref, yeah.
There was Roger Milford was another
Yes.
one. So these were guys who you could talk to.
Yeah.
And straight away in the changing rooms, the atmosphere was a good one.
Yeah.
Because you knew that you didn't have to take the referee on as well. Whereas sometimes, if you'd look at the ref and this would come down from the manager and say, oh, it's him today, and then all the players would be like, he's a so-and-so, and then you go out with a different mentality towards the referee because you can't communicate with them and they're not receptive to conversation.
What a great point. A great point. Just to complete the playoffs and to complete the ref show this week, all the drama came in the League One and League Two games. At the weekend, the first legs of those, Blackpool 3, Luton 2. Nigel Miller was in charge of that. We'll come to his game in a moment for a big reason. Carlisle 3, Exeter 3. That was David Webb, Dean.
Yeah, great performance from David Webb. He's another referee who should start giving championship games to now. Very experienced referee. Did a good job. His assistants let him down on 2 offsides where there should have been goals. Exeter will feel very hard done to. They had 2 goals disallowed incorrectly. But the referee actually, in terms of what he had to do, did very well.
As for Nigel Miller, now, we're not ageist on this show, otherwise I probably wouldn't be here. So a referee's age is largely irrelevant, and these days there's no automatic retirement. But Nigel Miller's 57. I mean, that shouldn't matter. But what does matter, how did he referee that Blackpool-Luton game?
Not very well, unfortunately. He's given a penalty correctly. He's missed about another 4. At one point I thought he'd not taken his cards out with him. He was so inconsistent. He didn't manage the tempo of the game. Players were getting frustrated. Managers were getting frustrated. It's a really poor appointment, this, from the Football League. I do not understand why he got the game in the first place. And this is nothing personal against Nigel. He's given years of service to the Football League, and it's not his fault he got the appointment. But there must be referees on that list who are looking at... Mark Brown was the fourth official.
He's smiling, Brian.
That's brutal, man.
Mark Brown was the fourth official who's finished top of the list.
Yeah.
And he's not in the middle, and I don't understand the appointment.
No.
You got to look at narrowing it down. You got to find out who made the appointment then, and take umbrage.
It might be somebody who's more than 57.
Well,
or
probably
maybe even younger than 57. I don't know. All right, Brian, thanks very much. The Dean Show is completed for this week, and we have one more Premier League weekend to come, but we also have the Champions League final, the FA Cup final, so lots more to look forward to on the Ref Show. Thanks for your company. See you next week.